beast! Ah!
Hello and welcome back to another installment of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. I'm Megs.
I'm Elizabeth.
And this week we watched 1999's 8mm. I had never seen this movie before. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes long. It is a Joel Schumacher film, and it stars Nicolas Cage as a private detective named Tom Wells. We open on him investigating some case in Florida. He's tailing a man. He takes some pictures. And then he flies back to Harrisburg. We see him brief his client, who is a senator, so he's clearly got a very upscale sort of clientele. And from here, he goes home. We see he's a family man. He's married to a beautiful woman. They have a very, infant daughter. His wife is played by Catherine Keener. His daughter is, I think, named Cindy. He calls her Cinderella. It's very cute. The next day, he gets a phone call from an elderly woman who is named Mrs. Christian. So he goes to her estate. Her husband has recently passed away, and she's, her and her lawyer, Anthony Heald, played by Anthony Heald. So anyways, she's going through all of her husband's things with her lawyer through the estate. He has a safe in his office in the wall behind a picture, a portrait. They call someone in to open it, and she's telling Wells that they found a film inside of it. They don't know what it is. They think it's a snuff film. He tries to tell them, it's, snuff films are a myth, but she implores him, please watch it. Let us know what you think about it. So he goes and he watches it, and it's clear from what he's saying that he believes that this is real. We see a very grainy scene of a young girl and a man in a gimp mask, and it looks, for all intents and purposes, to be a very heavy BDSM scene. And then he watches this man supposedly kill this girl. He tells Mrs. Christian that whoever made it was very good. He does suggest to take it to the police to, verify its authenticity. She says, no, we can't do that. They want him to find out if the tape is real. He can name whatever he wants to make from it. And he decides to take the case. From here, he kind of ping-pongs all over the country. He starts out in Cleveland at, I'm guessing, is the National Missing Persons Center.
Yeah.
And he gets access to all of these different files. He looks through a bunch of different file cabinets that we see him go through. He finds the girl that he believes that this is. Her name is Marianne Matthews, and she lives in North Carolina. So he flies from Cleveland out to North Carolina. He meets her mother, Janet. She's been, missing at this point for about 6 or 7 years. She just wants to know what happened. She believes that, her daughter is still alive and still out there. He asks to search her room, even though, he's not a police officer or FBI, even though he's desperately telling her, please don't get your hopes up. We're just here looking for additional information. While he's looking through her room, he happens upon this very old toilet, and she's hidden her diary in the toilet tank in the back. He takes that with him. There's a note inside of it, and her mother at this whole time has been upset that she didn't leave a note, but it turns out she did. It's in her diary. Her and her boyfriend Warren, they're skipping town. They're going to California. They're going to be big famous stars. Don't worry about me, Mom. I'll be fine. So from there, he's got a name. So he goes to this town searching for her ex-boyfriend Warren. He happens upon a guy who's working on a car. Turns out it's Warren's dad. He says he has money for him. California, right? His dad goes, you know where the Fayetteville lockup is? That's where he is. He's doing 8 months for a B&E. So now we cut to the prison in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and
it's
Warren...
baby Norman Reedus.
Is played by baby Norman Reedus.
Baby Norman Reedus.
Oh, yeah.
Fetus-aged Norman Reedus. He's so young.
At the point where, you're not sure yet whether or not he's going to be able to grow facial hair baby.
Yeah.
Young. So, yeah, he goes to see... Warren doesn't really tell him anything other than, he broke up with her. I guess he dumped her in California, said she was going to go and work at a strip club or something like that. So from here, Tom gets on a plane. He goes back to Hollywood. He's showing Marianne's picture around. He's searching in the porno district, the red light district. He goes to an adult mart. He runs into a cashier there who's named Max, who's played by an also very baby, very young Joaquin Phoenix, his name is Max California. And he rewatches the film and he realizes that there must be a third man in this film. He can see, a reflection in the background from the mirror. He heads back to Max. He asks him where he can find really gritty, really hard pornography. He hires Max for a few days for $500 to take him around the city to the underground, the underbelly of, honestly, I don't even know if places like this exist, but I mean, you see like old abandoned warehouses with people that have like tables set up like it's a goddamn flea market selling horrible things. They also go to a Mexican brothel. They get their ass kicked from there and leave. They go to this other basement place. Tom sees a table that has child pornography, that has a sign that's like way beyond XXXXXXX. Tom asks what it is, and the guy says it's extreme bondage, rape films, buy 5, get 1 free. The guy says that there's nothing harder, snuff doesn't exist. Again, we hear this, that snuff is just a myth. Tells him to fuck off. They do go to an S&M club. They buy several videos there that show rape and mutilization, but they realize that it's the same girl in the movie, so it's not actually snuff films. But, I mean, you see, them sitting on the bed watching it, and it's awful. Tom ends up also, on one of the pieces of paper on the note that she left in her diary, there were a couple of phone numbers and names of places that were left on the back of this sheet. So he's called a couple of them aren't things. One of them is a mission. There's a mission in California that's run by nuns. He goes there to see if anyone remembers her. One of the nuns does. There's actually, in fact, a suitcase of hers that's still in the back in the storage area somewhere. She takes it down and asks him, can you please get this to her people? From there, he goes and finds another one of the places that's on the back of this piece of paper that's called Celebrity Films. He finds their address, and it is, in fact, a porn shop, and it is run by a man named Eddie, who's played by James Gandolfini. And he shows him the picture and says, have you seen this girl? He's like, I've never seen her before, blah, blah, blah. It's clear that Tom doesn't believe him, but he's like, I have to get to work, get out of my office. So he waits across the street in what looks like an abandoned building, but it also looks like he rented the space from someone. Yeah, he takes up a spot across the street, in the building across the street to watch Eddie, waits until he leaves, and then he breaks into his office so that he can plant a bug. And the next day, like, he's listening to all these different conversations, and then he calls Eddie on the phone, and he was like, your number's up. I know who you are. I know what you did to this girl. Click. And so then he gets on the phone, and he calls someone, and Eddie gets on the phone and calls someone, and he's like, listen, we need to have a conversation, but it cannot be done on the phone. One of us has to get on a plane. And the person on the other end is like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And the phone call ends. So then he watches Eddie, get frantic. He leaves the office. And then Tom is able to use this. I mean, I don't really know what it would be called in 1999 technology, but it's basically a way to figure out which phone number, caller ID, Eddie had called. It is registered to someone named D. Valentino, or D. Velvet, sorry. So he leaves. Tom goes and he finds Max again. He said the number was coming, or he called someone in New York under D Velvet. He goes, yeah, that's Dino Velvet. He makes a whole lot of different, like, crazy films and stuff like that. You're going to need me in New York, though. Take me with you. There's a guy I know that can help me get in with him, blah, blah, blah. So off they fly to New York. And they set up this meeting with this guy. Before they end up going to meet with him, he tells Max, go and find as many films by this guy as you possibly can. I need to go out for a couple of hours and do a couple of things. So Max goes out. He finds all of these different films or whatever. He comes back, and Tom is sitting there watching all these different movies. And eventually he finds one that has the same guy from the snuff film with the GIMP mask on. He has a telling star tattoo on his right hand, right where his thumb and index finger connect. And he's like, well, we have to go and do this now. So they go and they talk to Dino Velvet, who is played by the unsurpassed Peter Stormare. Absolutely obsessed with the fact that he's in this movie. They tell him that they want a movie made, but it has to star a machine. They agree on a price that's actually double what he initially offers. Tom gives Max an envelope with money and a plane ticket. And he's like, listen, kid, you got to get out of here. Go back to California. These people are dangerous. But, I get a lot of calls for California. I will look you up. I'm not patronizing you. I do think that you're smart, but you got to go. So then he leaves. He goes to an abandoned building where Dino has invited him. And Dino has a crossbow. He's shooting like a cross or something. Machine's there waiting. There's a bed. There's a table covered in like knives and shit. Dino turns the crossbow on him and tells him to remove his gun and pump the bullets out of it. And then he has Machine handcuff him to a bed. While that's transpiring, a car pulls into the building, and out of it come the lawyer, Mrs. Christian's lawyer, and Eddie. They've also got Max, which once Tom is handcuffed to the bed, they go and they get him, and he's been beat to shit. And they tie him to this cross that Dino has been shooting crossbow bolts at. And they tell him, you're going to go and get this film, you're going to bring it back to us, and we're going to destroy it, or we're going to kill this kid. So they send the lawyer out with Tom to go and get it. They give the lawyer a gun to hold on him. And while they're outside, Tom asks if the lawyer watched the film. They get the film out of the car to take it back in. And Tom tells him, to let Max go. Here's the film, you've already got it. And the way that they, quote, let him go is by having Machine stab him in the throat. So there goes Joaquin Phoenix. He is now dead. They handcuff Tom to the bed and they light up the film. Tom asks them, why there's so small time when Mr. Christian gave Longsdale $1 million to make that snuff film. So then they turn the crossbow on the lawyer. Dino shoots him in the chest. Longsdale shoots Dino with the gun in the throat, like at the same time. So then Tom reaches for the knives. He hits Eddie in the face, and then he stabs Machine in the stomach. He's able to grab his gun. He reloads one of the rounds into it, and he orders Machine to take off the mask, but he won't. There's an argument between him and Eddie, where Eddie tells him to shoot, but then he won't. He just turns and he shoots his handcuffs off him so that he can get away, and then he runs. Tom gets to his car, he takes off. Eddie is shooting at him, trying to pursue him through the outside of the warehouse. Once Tom gets away, he calls his wife on his cell phone. He's like, I'm so sorry. He swears it's almost over. I have to go and see Mrs. Christian, but you have to get out of the house. Take the kid, go to the place that we went to for 4th of July. I will be there in 3 hours. So he gets there. He's been beat to shit. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? If you want to stay married to me, you have to tell me what's going on. He says, listen, I'm so sorry. You're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay, but I have to leave again. I have to go and see Mrs. Christian. Just had to stop here and make sure that you were okay first. So he goes to see Mrs. Christian, and he's on the phone with her. He calls her and he tells her what happened, and he'll be there at 8. And then he shows up, and it turns out she's killed herself. Now that he's confirmed that her husband hired people to make this film and murder this girl, she's offed herself. But her butler has said that, she left instructions. The first letter is for you. The second letter is for Mrs. Matthews, Mary Ann's mother. And then another envelope that's just full of cash. So from there, he heads back to California, where he is tracking down Eddie. He finds him in an abandoned house where he shoots all of his really shitty films. He jumps in and demands to know where Machine is. He said he doesn't know, but Tom orders him in the car. He demands to know where Mary Ann was killed. Eddie tells him Mary Ann was nothing. They end up getting to the place where this happened, where they had her tied up and they made this film. Tom goes and brings Eddie inside. He ties him up to part of the scaffolding in the walls that's been kicked out. Has him lay out the whole scene for him, like how everything actually happened. And then Tom points his gun at him, and Eddie says, you're not going to kill me. If you kill me with your gun, you're going to dig the bullet out of my head. Frustrated, not sure if he's ready to take a life yet, he leaves and he calls Mary Ann's mother. He calls Janet. It's the middle of the night in North Carolina. He says, you remember how you told me you wanted to know, for like more than anything else, regardless of what it was, you needed to know? And she's like, what are you talking about? And he tells her, some men took your daughter and they murdered her and they buried her in the woods, and I want to hurt them. Please, please, please give me permission to hurt these men. Tell me that you loved her. So she's sobbing, screaming that she loves her daughter. He goes back inside and beats Eddie to death with the butt of his gun. Then, from there, he goes outside. He grabs all of the shit from his investigation. He takes it back into the abandoned house and dumps all of these BDSM films, all these pictures, all these documents, and he sets everything on fire. So, as we've gotten to it, Longsdale is dead. Eddie is dead. Dino is dead. Tom flies to New York from there. He calls as many hospitals as he can. He's looking for Machine. He pretends to be a lieutenant, saying, he gave a false statement. But he does find him. He tracks him down. He stalks him at his mother's house. He sneaks upstairs, and there's this just really tense fucking moment where the music stops, and then it restarts, and then here he comes rushing at him in his gimp mask. His mother's house is adjacent to a small cemetery where they end up fighting. Tom loses his gun. Machine is coming after him. He's got a knife. They scuffle for a bit. Tom ends up being able to get back, the upper hand. But as he's laying there, Machine grabs a knife. He chucks it at him, hits him in the stomach, and then he gets up. But then Tom grabs the knife, pulls it out of his stomach, stabs Machine, kills him. So now he is also dead. He tells him, or before he dies, Machine tells him, what did you, he takes the mask off and, what did you expect from me? Did you expect a monster? Like, my name is George. I wasn't molested. Mommy didn't beat me. He's also played by Chris Bauer.
Who is amazing.
And it was such a treat to see him. So yeah, while he's giving, that villain speech, that's when he pulls the knife. So Tom drives himself to the hospital. Then he goes home, but he thinks his wife and his baby aren't there. So when he sees his daughter, he goes into her room. He stands over her crib. He rubs her head, and then he walks down the hallway in the middle of a breakdown, and his wife wakes up. She comes out and she sees him, and he just falls on her and says, "Save me," sobbing in the night, saying, "Save me." From there, the scene cuts, and it's a few weeks later, he's still, sort of injured, but he's outside and he's raking leaves, and he gets a letter, and he sits down to read it, and it's Mrs. Matthews. She's written to say, she understands why he did what he did, why he lied about his name and where he was coming from, and that she's really grateful that he's dead, or that they're all dead, and that, at the end of the day, the two of them are the only people that ever cared about Marianne. Then he looks at his wife, and he has this look on his face like maybe everything's going to be okay, and then we go to credits. I really liked this movie.
Let's be honest though, this movie is a hard watch.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. This is a difficult, very dark film noir. Like it's like a gut punch. It is a bit like a gut punch. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was really hard not to smoke throughout this entire film.
Oh yeah.
As someone who recently quit smoking, god damn did I want a cigarette.
And that's a whole trope that plays throughout the entire movie, where Tom has promised that he's quit smoking, but you see him smoking every time he's not near his wife.
I liked the movie, but I think it's too long. And I think that the entire revenge aspect that goes on for half an hour at the end of the film, where he has killed Dino and he goes off in search of Eddie and he goes off in search of Machine, I thought that didn't need to be there. I thought that without the retribution half hour that's tacked on to the end, it was a deep psychological thriller about a man entering into the dark recesses of this world. And once it hits the revenge section, I was just kind of taken out of it. Like, I wasn't as interested in it.
I mean, that's fair. That's allowed. I have a different take. I appreciated the revenge at the end. I don't necessarily appreciate that it lasted for 30 minutes. I definitely think that the scene with Eddie in the house could have been much shorter than it was. I didn't think that was necessary. I didn't think, as much as I liked the scene, I don't think that the scene with Machine near the end when he stalks him and then kills him needed to be as long as it was. But I mean, I also really like revenge films. I'm a huge fan of them.
I'm not a big fan of revenge films.
They can be something. They can be something. But I get that. That's fine. That's allowed. You're allowed to not have that be one of your film kinks. Like, that's totally fine. I just think, I mean, I understand why they did it so that they could close it, because there's already been the threat, right, from Dino, and who knows if Eddie or Machine are going to enact Dino's threat of coming after Tom and his wife and his kid. So, I mean,
that's fair.
I guess I understand the motivation for it. But I mean, the thing is, like, clearly this was a guy that worked, some gritty cases. He traveled a lot, he saw some shit, but he worked for senators. He was doing, not wet work stuff. He was taking pictures of cheaters. So it was really interesting to me to watch his character evolve through the film. And I mean, I think this is actually a really good example of his nouveau shamanic acting ability. Like, I genuinely do. Because we talk a lot about, like, his body work and how committed he is to the roles that he plays and stuff like that. But I mean, we also know that he is heavily influenced by, German expressionism from the early part of the 1900s, where it's less to do with like the realism of the scene, but more to do with like the being in the body of the character. Right. So you can impart all of that that's going on. It's really interesting, this film, to watch him go through all of the very subtle emotional changes that he goes through.
Oh yeah, the caginess of it is amazing.
Yeah, it's this movie was really good. I'm surprised that I had not seen this before. This is only rated like 26% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience score is like 53%. So, I mean, the audience is clearly, once again, intelligent about what they're watching. And again, I'm a sucker for Joel Schumacher. I love anything that he does.
Really? Even the bat nipples?
Especially the bat nipples. You're welcome.
So what would we rate this movie, Megan?
I really liked this movie. I really enjoyed it. It's very deep. It's very dark. There are a lot of very sinister tones to it. And I mean, I can understand when it came to critics, why they wouldn't really enjoy that kind of a thing. It's a departure from what we normally see in film anyways. Before we get to what I would rate it, I do want to just share a quote from Roger Ebert, who I'm, really not, a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of the way that he critiques things, but he is very honest in the way that he rates things, at least from his point, whether I agree with him or not. And he said, "I know some audience members will be appalled by this film, as many were by Seven, which is also a very dark, deep, terrible fucking thriller. It is a very hard R that would doubtless have been an NC-17 if it had come from an indie instead of a big studio with clout," which I agree with. "But it is a real film, not a slick exploitation exercise with all the trappings of depravity, but none of the consequences. Not a film where moral issues are forgotten in the excitement of an action climax. Yes, the hero is an ordinary man who finds himself able to handle violent situations, but that's not the movie's point. The last two words of the screenplay are 'save me,' and by the time they're said, we know what they mean." So, I mean, the amount
powerful.
of... It is powerful. This is a movie that you definitely have to think about. It's definitely not like a popcorn thriller of any sort. You have to be in the mind space to kind of watch this, because we do delve into some very deep, dark caverns of depravity that humans like to involve themselves in. I would give this movie my honest rating for it is an A. I enjoyed it. It made me think. It made me uncomfortable, and it made me question things. But I definitely appreciated that, even though that this was a movie that was based around not just sex, but violent sex, it was not exploitative, really, at all.
I can give it an A. I can give it an A. My only problem really is with the last half an hour. In that I don't feel that it needs to be there. I think that you could cut out all of the stuff with him going to California and going after Eddie, and him going back to New York and going after Machine, and you could end it with him escaping the warehouse where where Max has died, and running home and collapsing into his wife and just saying, "Save me." I think that you could have skipped all of that revenge stuff.
You could have.
And still have had the same emotional impact, because it's a man who has fallen so deep into this rabbit hole that he can't get himself out.
I don't disagree with you. Like I said, I'm a sucker for revenge films, so that's just a thing that I like. But no, I don't disagree.
What would we give the caginess of it?
This is an A. This is unquestionably.
This is absolutely an A.
This is an A++. Give it that. Give it the A++. Give it the plus method.
A++.
Also, even though there was a mission that was run by nuns, there were no churches involved, so no desecration. Hooray.
No church desecration, that's correct.
Maybe we'll see one soon. Who knows? We'll find out.
Well, do you have anything else to say about this, Megan?
No, I don't think I have anything else to say about this. Listener, of course, we would love to hear from you if you have any opinions, if you have a differing opinion, anything like that. We would love to hear from you, so please reach out to us in the comments. We would love it if you liked and shared wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social, on Instagram at NotTheBeesPod. We also have a page on Patreon at patreon.com/NotTheBees. If you like what we're doing and you want to support us, you want to throw us a couple bucks, you can always do that there. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time.
Bye, folks.